February 1959. 9 experienced hikers embark on an expedition deep into the frozen wilderness of the Soviet Union's Ural Mountains. They are young, strong, skilled in survival. There is no reason to believe they won't return. Their goal is simple: to reach the summit of Otorten, a remote peak whose name, in the language of the indigenous Mansi people, means "don't go there." It is a warning, but one easily dismissed by those who have spent years conquering the elements. On February 1st, the group sets up camp on the slopes of Kholat Syakhl. The name translates to Dead Mountain. A coincidence? Or something else? No one knows what happened that night. What is known comes from the evidence left behind, the only clues to their final moments. They did not leave through the tent's entrance. They cut their way out. Something made them run, something so terrifying that they abandoned their supplies, their boots, their thick winter clothing, and fled barefoot into the snow. 2 weeks later, a search team finds the first bodies. Just over a mile from the campsite, 2 men lie frozen beneath a cedar tree, their hands raw, stripped of skin, likely from desperate attempts to climb into the branches, searching for safety. But from what? A few yards away, 3 more bodies are found, scattered in the snow, frozen in positions that suggest they were trying desperately to crawl back to camp. It is not until 2 months later that the final 4 are discovered, buried beneath 4 meters of snow in a ravine, their bodies telling a story far stranger than anyone could have imagined. 1 has a fractured skull, 2 have broken ribs, so severely crushed that only extreme force could have caused such damage. Yet, there are no external wounds, as if the injuries occurred from the inside. 1 woman is missing her tongue, her eyes, torn from her body, but there is no evidence of animal scavenging, no sign of struggle, no blood in the snow. The Soviet authorities closed the case quickly, citing a compelling natural force as the cause of death. But what kind of natural force crushes bones without breaking skin? What force compels 9 skilled hikers to flee into the freezing night, barefoot, with no hope of survival? Some believe they witnessed something they were never meant to see. Others claim infrasound, a low-frequency vibration, drove them into a panic. A few whisper of something older, something unseen, lurking within the dead mountain. 65 years later, the truth remains buried beneath the ice. December 24th, 1945. Christmas Eve. In the quiet town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, the Sauter family gathers in their home, warm and full of holiday cheer. The children laugh, the tree glows, and outside the world is silent beneath a blanket of winter darkness. By morning, 5 of those children will be gone, not missing, not dead, simply gone. Around 12:30 a.m., as the Sauters sleep, the ringing of the house phone shatters the quiet. Jenny Sauter wakes and answers. A strange voice, feminine, unfamiliar, laughs in a low, unsettling tone. "Is Mr. Sauter there?" she asks. In the background, glasses clink. Distant voices murmur. Jenny frowns. "You have the wrong number," she says, before hanging up. As she returns to bed, a peculiar thought lingers. Why did the caller laugh? Moments later, Jenny hears a sound on the roof, like a heavy object rolling, striking the shingles. But no one investigates. The family drifts back to sleep, unaware that their home is already doomed. At 1 a.m., the fire begins. George Sauter, Jenny, and 4 of their children escape. But 5, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny Jr., and Betty, are still inside. The flames consume the home. Smoke billows. George Sauter tries to go back in, but the stairs collapse. His trucks, his only hope of reaching the second floor, refuse to start. A ladder, always kept beside the house, is gone. The phone lines have been cut. A neighbor's call to the fire department goes unanswered for hours. By dawn, the house is nothing but charred remains. But inside the wreckage, something is missing, something that defies explanation. The bodies of the children are never found. The official explanation? The fire burned so hot that it incinerated the children's remains completely. But there's a problem with that theory. House fires rarely burn hot enough to destroy bones. Even when entire buildings collapse into ash, remains can still be recovered. Yet here, there is nothing. No bones, no teeth, no fragments, nothing at all. Jenny Sauter tests the theory herself. She burns animal bones in her backyard, watching them smolder in the flames. Even after hours, they do not disintegrate. But if the fire didn't destroy the children, where did they go? The days after the fire bring more questions than answers. A local witness claims they saw a man watching the fire, silent, still. Another says they saw the children inside a car, speeding away into the night. Then, years later, a chilling letter arrives at the Sauter home. No return address, no explanation, just a single photograph. The Sauters compare the photo to old pictures of their son Louis. The resemblance is uncanny. The shape of the jaw, the curve of the lips, the same distant gaze. A message, a code, or the last desperate cry of a child lost to time. Despite decades of investigation, no trace of the children is ever found. No answers, no closure. Just a mother and father who die without ever knowing the truth. A mystery frozen in time. 5 children. A fire that should have consumed them, but left behind only questions. February 19th, 2013. The body of a 21-year-old woman is discovered inside a rooftop water tank at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles. No signs of struggle, no clear cause of death, no logical way she could have gotten there on her own. Her name was Elisa Lam, and the footage of her final moments is something no one can explain. Elisa Lam was a Canadian student visiting Los Angeles alone. She checked into the Cecil Hotel on January 28, 2013, a place with a long and disturbing history. The hotel was infamous for crime, violence, and death. For days, she kept in touch with her family. She explored the city, visited bookstores, posted on social media. But on January 31st, the messages stopped. February 1st, she is last seen in the hotel. That same night, the elevator footage is recorded. No one sees her again. For 2 weeks, no one knows where she is. No security footage shows her leaving the building. No evidence of foul play. Then, the complaints begin. The water tasted off, strange, almost sweet, and the pressure was low. A maintenance worker is sent to check the rooftop water tanks. He climbs the metal ladder, removes the heavy lid, and looks inside. He finds her. How did Elisa Lam get there? And why? The rooftop was locked. The alarm system was intact. The water tank's lid was heavy, too heavy for a single person to open from the inside. Yet, there she was. To reach the rooftop, Elisa would have needed access to a secured door. The hotel staff claim it was locked. If she had taken the fire escape, why didn't anyone see her? And even if she did reach the tanks, how did she get inside? Some believe she was hiding from someone. Others say she was hallucinating. But there's another possibility, one that reaches beyond reason. The Cecil Hotel has a history of unexplained deaths. In 1962, a woman fell or was pushed from the 9th floor. In the 1980s, it became the hunting ground of serial killer Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. In the 1990s, another murderer, Jack Unterweger, used it as his killing ground. Guests report whispers in the hallways, shadows moving on their own, doors opening and closing in the night. Was Elisa Lam another victim of something unseen? Her death was ruled an accidental drowning. No drugs were found in her system. No injuries, no trauma. Just a body in the water. A question with no answer. And yet the mystery of Elisa Lam remains. A story unfinished. A question that refuses to be silenced. In 1948, a chilling SOS signal was received by multiple ships sailing in the Strait of Malacca. The transmission came from a vessel that should not have been there, a ghost ship with no origin, no known history, and, according to those who found her, no survivors. Her name was the Ses Orang Medan, and what was found aboard that doomed vessel defies explanation. The first ship to intercept the transmission was an American merchant vessel, the Silver Star. The message was fragmented, fading in and out of static, but what they could make out sent a chill through every crew member who heard it. The sound of Morse code beeping fills the air, growing faster, more frantic. The words appear on screen as they are received. All officers, including the captain, are dead, lying in chart room and bridge. Possibly whole crew dead. And then the final message, I die. And then, nothing. The radio went silent. The transmission cut off, leaving behind only unanswered questions. The Silver Star, responding to the call, changed course immediately, heading toward the last known location of the Orang Medan. Hours later, they found her. The Orang Medan floated aimlessly, untouched by the waves. There was no damage to the hull, no smoke, no signs of distress. And yet, no one was responding. As they climbed aboard, what they saw would stay with them for the rest of their lives. They were dead. All of them. It was as if they had all seen something in their final moments. Something so terrifying that they died where they stood. Before the Silver Star could tow the Orang Medan back to port, the ship exploded. No trace of her was ever found. No official records of the ship existed. To this day, no one knows where she came from or why her crew died in such terror. A ship that never should have existed, carrying a crew that never should have died. The Orang Medan remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the sea, and perhaps one that should remain unanswered. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the most chilling unsolved mysteries, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because there are more mysteries out there waiting to be uncovered.